mission of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.
Aloha! Good evening, good afternoon, brethren around the world. Welcome to another episode of INCRadio, Hawaii Pacific. My name is Brother Bruce Tan from the local congregation of Kunia. I'll be one of your hosts tonight, but I'm not alone. As you can see, next to me, we have our guest, which we will be introducing a little later. But we also have another host tonight, which is no other than Brother
Joshua Garland, nice to meet you.
Alright.
Nice to see you. Brother Bruce, there you go. There you go. I really like that. You're always up in the energy. That's what I like to hear.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. No, I'm just joking. But again, good morning, good evening, and a very good evening again. Currently, it is 10:02 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time, meaning you are currently tuning into INCRadio Hawaii Pacific. Welcome, welcome. Thank you to all of those who are tuning in, listening, whatever you may be doing at the moment. We're just thankful that you are here watching us here on INCRadio Hawaii Pacific. Again, I'm Brother Joshua Galang, one of your co-hosts for this evening. And it's been a little while since we've hosted together, right, Brother Bruce?
Yes. But it's nice to work with you.
Absolutely. It's great to perform with you. This duty is always so good. So
Definitely.
yeah, I love talking story. So we're here talking story now. And our brother all the way to the right is very excited to talk story too. You see it? There you go.
We're
Yeah.
all excited.
Yes, we all are excited. You know what? I think we're already ready to go ahead and introduce this brother. So, Brother Bruce, take it away.
And as you can see, we have Brother Dave Wilson from Wahiwa.
That is
He's
his name.
actually our INC convert, which he was baptized on 2019. And he's going to share with us his passion of his journey on how to become a proud member of the Church of Christ.
That's
And
what I like to
he's
hear.
also a retired military. And
Yeah.
from there, he moved up all the way through a utility supervisor.
That's what I
So,
like to hear.
yeah, definitely.
So, he kind of gave your backstory already, Brother Dave, but we want to hear it from you as well. We're going to pretend that he didn't say your name, that I didn't say your name as well. So, before we begin, the whole show, we want to ask you, brother, whoever your name is, whatever your name is, what is your name? Where are you from? What are some duties that you have? And an interesting fact about yourself.
Aloha, everybody. Hapa day, Totomalik, a little bit of Chamorro there, just to enlighten the stuff. I'm Dave Wilson. I'm from the locale of Waiwa, Hawaii Pacific. My duties in the church include the booklet president for the locale, deacon, and also a scan member. And a fun fact about me, a lot of people don't know. If you ever watch professional wrestling, I was a wrestler at one time.
Really?
Yeah, really. I told you you'd be shocked.
Yeah, I am.
So, this was back in the day, way back, Ripper Collins' time,
Yesterday.
John Tolis. Probably a lot of names you don't know, probably way before your time. So, but anyway, that's a fun fact of mine. I was born and raised on the island of Guam. I can fluently speak the Chamorro language.
Wow.
People look at me and say, the white guy can talk Chamorro. Oh, yeah, very well. So that's some of my stuff. I spent 3 years in the Army back in the late 60s, 69 to 72. I got out and I joined the federal service. Spent 40 years there. Various trades, various jobs all over the place. My mom is originally from Hawaii. That's why I'm here back in Hawaii. My father was from Maine. He retired out of the Navy in Guam. That's how I was born and raised in Guam. So that's a little bit about me.
Whoa, I really love hearing that backstory, brother. Thank you for telling us who you are. I know already talking about your job, or how about this, your career line throughout your life. So you said you were military, joined the federal, were working in federal, and that led you here now working as a.
As a member of the Church of Christ.
Yes,
That's
you
my
you're
job.
definitely a member of the Church of Christ. Yes, that's absolutely correct.
I was asked the other day, somebody asked me, says, "Oh, so you retired? So you just kick back?" I said, "I'm retired from work, but I'm not retired. I'm still a member of the church.
Mm.
I have my duties. So I'm a proud member of Almighty God. So that's my duty.
I like that.
So my originally, I guess you would say, how I got introduced to the church um, was a funny way around. I was born and raised as a Catholic.
Mhm.
Was never baptized as a Catholic, but I ended up an altar boy, believe it or not. I went to Catholic school. And when my mom here, this is in 2018, July of 2018,
Mhm.
my mom was being cared by my now wife. And she said, "Hey, come listen to our Bible studies."
Mm.
And I said, "Yeah, no need. I got my own, I talk on the mountain, I talk to God."
Mm.
And she said, "No, just come listen." So I went, sat down. I had my shorts, my slippers, my t-shirt within the garage. And me as a person, I question a lot of stuff. So I like to, I guess what they say, argue about situations.
Mm.
So I said, "I'm going to get this minister. I get my questions."
Mhm.
So I asked him a question and he said, "Hey, let's check the Bible."
Mm.
And he opened the Bible and he answered me. And I thought, man, this guy's pretty good. Somebody told him what my question was. So I have another question.
Mhm.
So I asked again. He said, "Let's check the Bible again." And he kept doing that. And I said, "Man, something's right here. I mean,
Mm.
I got to give this another chance. So the next time, the same thing. I even told him once, they talk about the Holy Trinity.
Mhm.
And I came out and I told him, I said, "You have one God, your Father. I have three, so I have more blessings." And then they studied and we studied. And I said, "Wait a minute. I don't have three.
Mm.
I have only one." So that's what got me into the church.
I see.
And people told me, because after that, I got kind of sick. I had liver cancer.
Mhm.
And uh, I went through a bunch of stuff. I was actually on the liver transplant list, but I was number 25 and kind of low on the list.
Mhm.
But then I got my sodium level dropped and I would say maybe a week from death.
Wow.
And really bad. And they moved me up on the transplant and God blessed me with the liver. And here I am today.
Mhm.
So every March 12th, I have a new birthday.
Mm.
So that's a blessing. It's been 6 years now. So every day that I breathe, get up in the morning, I don't get emotional. So bear with me. So I thank God that I still can breathe. I still hear. I still can perform. I still can go to the chapel. I can do the worship service. Um, when I look back 6 years ago, I would never think I would be where I am today. And people told me now, some of my old friends that tell me, "You went to the church because you got sick.
Mm.
So, they healed you. So that's why you believe." I said, "No, I went to the church July of 2018. I didn't get sick till after that."
Mhm.
So that didn't put me in the church. It's just, all my life, there's been times where things happen and you wonder why. Oh, I'm always in the right place at the right time. When I went in the military, I quit school in 1967. Four of us together, we quit school, said we're going to go work as a stevedore
Mm.
and make money. No need education, right? So we worked 4 days. We said, we're going back to school. It's too hard. It's crazy. So I was 11th grade then. My friends were ninth grade because they got retained twice.
Mm.
I guess back in my day, they retained you if you didn't pass. Nowadays, they pass everybody almost, it looks like. But anyway, that we went the following year, go back to school. So I didn't go back to 11th grade. I went back to 9th grade to be with
Oh.
my friends.
Really?
Yeah. And the principal asked me, why you come back here? You're supposed to be at the high school.
Mm.
I said, well, I missed a year. I need to re-educate myself, which was not true. I don't want it to be with my
My
friends.
friends.
I wanted to be the bull of the school, per se. I was the only one that could drive to 9th grade. I had my own car.
Mm-mm.
But went through that, graduated 9th grade, everything. Then I joined the military
I see.
because that was another one. You know, Guamanians, we get this big pride. We got to go war and do all this stuff. So that's where I'm at. But that's basically joined. When I got in the federal, I started as a laborer,
Mhm.
unloading B-52 bombs in Guam during the Vietnam War
Mhm.
at $1.28 an hour.
Wow.
And I told myself, if I ever make $2 an hour, man, I'm great. So then I got in the apprentice program, Boilermaker apprentice. I went 4 years, graduated from there. Then Typhoon Pamela came and destroyed that. And I moved back here. And I got here, like I said, it seemed like everything fell in place. But now that I know what I know now, somebody was following it in place for me.
Mm.
Although I wasn't in the church yet, but just like he already had the plans, right? I mean, I can't explain how that is, but it's when I went into service, I got out of AIT. Remember, I didn't have a high school graduate.
Mhm.
So I went to an NCO academy.
Mm.
I went to 15 weeks of hard training, got to the last week to graduate. They said, you cannot graduate, you don't have high school diploma.
Mm.
But one first sergeant said, if you go take the GED tonight, you pass, you can get your sergeant strike.
Mm.
And I passed. I maxed that test. So I don't know
Wow.
how I did it. I look back at this stuff and it's unreal, you know? So some people tell me, you know, when you're born, the man already has your set, right?
Mm.
And I believe that. Although I went a different path and around the way, around about, but here I am, I got there. So it doesn't matter how you get where you're going, but it is what you get to, right? I mean, I cannot explain. It seemed like, you know, I went into federal service and I got to a Boilermaker apprentice. I came here, I got Boilermaker job.
Mhm.
2 years into that, my supervisor retired and I got the supervisor job.
Mm.
At that time, I was the youngest supervisor in Pearl Harbor,
I see.
but I worked for the utilities company, which was NAPFAC, which wasn't the shipyard where we take care of all the utilities island-wide, the power, water, sewer,
Mm.
everything. From there, I just worked my way. At one time, I had 102 people working for me.
Wow.
And then 95, I went and took over the tunnel at Cunha Tunnel. I don't know if you know the tunnel at Cunha Tunnel.
Yes, yes.
I took over the utilities there. I was there for 9 years.
Mm.
Then I came back to Pearl Harbor. We ran a new 30-inch water line to McGrew Point all the way to Pearl Harbor. So I took over that job, did that. After that job was complete, I went to the sewage department, took over the Fort Cam. Matter of fact, we all know about the water situation, right?
Mhm.
That was my system at one time.
Mm.
But this is way before all this situation. But so I know all those people that work there. A lot of them are retired already. So that's my career. So like I said, I retired from working, but I'm not retired.
Mhm.
So
I like that quote that you said there. Retired from working, but you're not retired.
yes,
Because we can go through different changes in life, like you said, you know, career from military, now you're working in federal service. And all of those years, you mentioned 40 years of service, correct?
yes,
You may retire from those jobs, but we're never going to retire as a member of the Church of Christ.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
I really like that. And I also um love how you mentioned that God already has a plan for you.
Yeah.
You know, and what you're doing, especially as a member of the Church of Christ, is wanting to follow His will, wanting to do what pleases Him, which is also following His plan.
Exactly.
I like that.
That's you know, you asked me this 7 years ago. I didn't have that knowledge. I just wondered how come every time, you know, it seems like when I was hitting that end of the road, something popped in and I got promoted or I got another job. Or when I went to Cunha, we took over from the army there. My boss said, you got to go up there and take over that. It's a very high impact place.
Mm.
It's the second highest secured building on this island.
Mm.
So you got to go take care of the utilities up there, make sure they don't lose power, make sure they don't lose water, whatever. And I regretted that. You're going to put me in a tunnel.
Mm.
You know, I can't stand still in a tunnel like that.
Mm.
But after I was there for 3 weeks, it was heaven. You know, I was living at Eva Beach at the time. I lived at Eva Beach 40 years
Mm.
before I moved to Iowa. Drive up Cunha Road, no traffic, get to work. They had a beautiful galley to eat breakfast and stuff.
Mm.
It was so to keep me there for 9 years. I used to call my boss every 2 months and say, "Boss, you said I'm only gonna be here for 2 months. Set it up. When I coming back, you stay there till I tell you come back. Thank you." You know, you get him mad and he make you stay there.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
stayed there. I got 9 years out of it.
Oh.
So, you know, it's, I believe people, you know, I had the greatest, my career was easy. My belief was I can't do the job. The workers do the job.
Mm.
You know, it's just like anything else, even in the church, we're a family, we're unity, we're all one. I believe that if you treat people right, they treat you right.
Right.
I just had an incident a couple weeks ago. Our AC in Iowa went out, and we lost the freon.
Mhm.
And the chapel was pretty hot. We had to open the window. We sweat and everything. And I thought, okay, who do we know or what to get this? So I called a friend, which was an ex-worker,
Mhm.
and I said, "Hey, you know anybody get AC?" He said, "Yeah, Gary, remember him? He do this and that." So it went from me in Iowa to YNI to
Mm.
Las Vegas,
Mm.
back to IAEA, back to me, and the guy came the next day in 6 days.
Wow.
And that was all my ex-workers. See? But my belief is if you don't treat people right, they'll never answer you.
Mhm.
Right?
That's true.
In utilities, you have emergencies every other day. You get water breaks, you get power outages. You know, they can't. Utility is something that has to be there. You have to have light. You got to get water.
Mhm.
You have to have sewage.
Mhm.
Without that,
Absolutely.
you're definitely not going to live right. Right? I mean, that was our function. So we were 24/7 at all times.
Mhm.
So, you know, they call, you call, I call guys. I was retired for 5 years, and I got called from our trouble desk one night. And I said, "Hey, you know, I retired in 2008.
Mm.
They said, "Yeah, we know, but we have a water break and we can't get pipe fitters. Can you help me?"
Mm.
So this kid, Joe, was one of my work leaders before I retired. That so I called him, live up my queue. I called him and said, "Hey, you know, they get this water break, can't get a hold of it." "No problem, Dave, we take care."
Mm.
That's 4 or 5 years after I retired. So that's my belief, you know, with people. You treat them correct, you treat them right, it comes back. And especially now in the church, I see this, you know, it's, man, when I got baptized, PJ interviewed me after my baptism.
Mhm.
I think it took us half an hour to do a 5 minute.
Interview.
I couldn't stop bawling.
Mm.
You know, the feeling of coming out of there. We just had the baptism last Friday where we had 3 from Wyoming.
Right.
So I asked Julie, I said, "How does it feel?"
Mhm.
Because I know how I felt. From the water in Waiwa, in Waipahu to the chapel. I never touched the ground.
Mm.
I was like floating.
Mm.
You know, I cannot explain words how that is. If I get too in detail of it, I'll lose it again. So, uh, yeah, it's, you know, they asked me when they first, our first minister asked me to be the book group president.
Mhm.
I said, "Are you serious?" He said, he looked around, he said, "Am I asking you?" "I think God asking you, huh? You can
Oh.
tell God no." Every duty that I got, that's the question I was asked. So I ask guys that.
That's a good one.
That's true, right? You can tell him no,
Mm.
but you know, it's such a honor. I can't say it's an honor. Honor is the wrong word. It's a yes,
Definitely.
that's the word I want. Yeah, and it's multiple, and And when you see getting shivers, or when you see other people feel it, I tell people, when they had the the oath taking of our deputy executive minister,
Right.
we were here, right, when they did the video.
Mhm.
Or was it? Or was
Waipahu,
Waipahu?
that's
Waipahu,
correct,
right? When they did that and he was doing the oath, I couldn't handle. I was crying. I was choking.
Mhm.
And I told people after, you don't have feeling about that, something wrong. And we talk about levels of faith,
Mhm.
and everybody has a different level, right?
Mhm.
And if you don't have a feeling when that kind of stuff happens, just like tonight,
Mhm.
certain parts when they sing in the hymn and that,
Yeah.
I could never be a choir member because I choke when I sing.
Mhm.
I get emotional with it. And if you don't have that feeling, to me, your level of faith is not where it should be.
It's something that is developing still.
Right. You're still in that early stages.
And it's
And-
only going to grow.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, it goes back, in the beginning, and they say, "Oh, come," it's like my wife now said, "Come, listen." My first thing was Filipino church.
Mm.
I'm Chamorro. I'm from Guam.
Mm.
So, but I look around and say, how many countries? 160 something countries, every continent. No more Filipino and too many in Africa, but we got a big church in Africa.
Mhm.
I mean, we get that aid to humanity stuff and all this stuff. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm getting way off the subject.
That's okay. That's okay. I like the way
Yeah.
that you're speaking about all of this. Well, when you bring up all of the different details of the church, you can see how grand it is.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes where uh our vision gets a little bit small,
We
right?
take for granted a lot of stuff too.
A lot of times it's like
Yes,
that.
yes. And it just takes one little spark and it changes.
Yes.
I mean, we have Pasugo drives at Chapel. We go out on the road and people walk in and we talk. And some people just that talking to them and they get there. Like I always said, if you get 10 people and you can touch one person's heart,
Mhm.
you've done something, right?
Mhm.
It
Absolutely.
doesn't matter what in life you do. If you have 50 people, you get to one person, you've done what you need to do. I mean, and it goes on and on and on. I seen tonight a lot of name tags.
Mhm.
My wife's granddaughter came. Shocked? Yes. Happy? Yes. Hopefully she gets a little inspired. Matter of fact, when they were doing the interviews, I called, what's her name, PJ, I said, interview her. So she get more enticed, right?
Mm.
So she enjoyed that. So that's good. I mean, the more people, the more saving. I mean, it's, you know, people always has their negative from the outside.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's very difficult because we're human, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's difficult to just shut that off and not comment.
Right.
And it takes a lot to not comment, especially with the way the world is today, the way our economics are, the way our politics are, everything. I mean, if you listen, like tonight, Kajem said about fake news,
Mhm.
right? I mean, it's constant. So if you allow yourself to get involved in that, it's a battle because we're human. So we have that. So I just,
It's okay. With that, with all of the things that goes on in the world, it it's so easy to get caught up in all of that. Would you agree?
yes.
But I think the thing that helps us ground ourselves, to take those deep roots is our faith. It reminds us that, these things may be happening, a lot of things that change the world itself. But remember that we have God on our side. We're not like the people of this world.
And this is not my home.
Yes,
This is a
absolutely.
temporary place for me to step where I want to go,
Mhm.
where I am going.
I'm going.
Yes,
I like that.
exactly. None of this out there is going to change where my end result is.
Mhm. because you're focused.
Yes,
You know
I
where you
mean
are.
it's.
You know what? With that, brother, because we are actually running low on time. Fast, right? The show go by fast, yeah.
Yeah, too fast.
I know. I would love to talk more, but you know what? We can do more of that by having you join the show more. So like yeah, because we're inspired by your faith, right, brother Bruce? And that's actually what we want to ask you in this last question. Um, from both your work as a career experience, life experience in general, but also being a member of the Church of Christ. What is something that you can tell the audience today? What is a piece of advice that you follow every single day?
My biggest advice to everybody is, and it was in the lesson last week too, have faith, believe, have faith. Let your heart follow your heart where it takes you. Your heart will never take you wrong. Don't let the distractions of this world affect what your end result is. Uh, if you feel yourself slacking, lacking, getting sidetracked, pray. Prayer is always the best result. Uh, we do that 3-4 times a day in our family at home before we eat and before we go to sleep. Just have the faith. Faith will get you through everything. That's my belief. Uh, be strong. Always look forward. Yesterday's gone. Today is today. We don't know what about tomorrow. We don't even know we'll wake up tomorrow. Only one person knows that. And I'm wrong to say person. Only one spirit knows that.
You got it.
And brother, while you're here, put it in your faith. Attend worship services. Take a duty because a lot of people out there, you people out there that don't have a duty in the church, take a duty. Don't be feared. Don't fear it. It helps. Man, it'll blossom your heart in the faith. That's my biggest thing. Have faith. Never step backwards. Go forward, no matter how hard it is.
Yeah.
Push through.
I like that, and that was mentioned in the lesson before because you're talking about don't step backwards, even though we feel like we're falling down. Life. You can't go forward anymore. God's the one that's gonna help you up.
Yeah.
And that was beautiful. I love that. Brother Dave, thank you so much for being here, joining us here on the show. Thank you for inspiring us through your faith. And you were talking before in the pre-show, you spoke from the heart, and that's exactly what you did. There was no script. There's nothing on the screen that has a script of any sort, and that's just pure, genuine faith that we heard here today on radio.
My
Yeah.
script comes from God.
I like that. There you go, Brother Ruth. But before we end, we're gonna address the viewers and listeners right now, just to tell them of some upcoming activities that we have, and then after that we'll have our closing remarks, and we're gonna end off the show. But we're gonna have our upcoming activities this coming Friday, because today's Friday. Next week, Friday, July 4, we're having our Unity Games Pickleball Edition. You ever played pickleball before, Brother Ruth? You should try it. It's time to succeed. Yeah, have you played pickleball before?
No.
That's okay. I know
I'm
it's
a
a new
baseball
thing.
player
Oh, you're a
and
baseball
golf.
player. Ooh, there you go. We need to have a golf.
Yes.
That's what I like to hear. But maybe in the future, you never know.
Yes.
But Unity Games Pickleball Edition, gonna be fun. I know Waipahu is showing up. We're practicing so much, and it's very exciting. July 6th is the District Baccalaureate for all graduates and as well the students. So if there's any of those who have recently graduated or those who are still currently in school, please, you're invited. Join us all. And if you need more information, ask your resident minister, resident worker, or any of the CFO officers, and we'll give you more information. Now we have some closing remarks, a special thanks. But before that, Brother Dave, do you have any shout outs that you'd like to give before we close?
Can I name names?
Yes, you can name names. Absolutely.
Got a shout out to our resident minister, RJ. I hope you're out there in La La Land watching us. Brother Joseph, we miss you in Waiwa, brother. and all the other ministers out there and officers and all the breadwin. Give you all a shout out, aloha. If you want to do a good worship service, come to Iowa. We're there Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'll
Wow.
see you there.
That's what I like to hear. You weren't only like saying thank you, but you were already propagating right there, huh? Yeah, sharing of the faith never stops. Now we're gonna have some special thanks as well. I'll do this, Brother Bruce. But without these special people, we won't have shows like this. We
Yes.
talk about we talk about careers, we talk about our hobbies, our interests, but the main thing that we all revolve around is our faith.
Yes.
Right? We learned that in our lesson yesterday. Now, with these special people, they allow us our shows like this. Again, we spoke about all of these different things, so we want to say thank you to them. Special thanks always to our executive minister, Brother Eduardo Vimanalo, along with a special thanks to our deputy executive minister, Brother Angelo Erano Manalo. A special thanks to our district minister, Brother Jem H. Baitan, our assistant district minister, Brother Ador Apostol, along with our CFO overseer, Brother Brandon Pacheco. But of course, we can't forget to say thank you to all of the ministers, ministerial workers, along with their families, and even all of the viewers, listeners that are tuning in right now for constantly supporting us here on INCRadio Hawaii Pacific. But it is 10:32. We are over the time limit, but that's okay. You know what? We always love talking story here, talking faith, and being here with our fellow brethren. But for now, we shall see you again later on. See you next week, in fact. Goodbye, good night, and aloha.
Take care, everyone.
Bye
Aloha.
bye. Wait. See you next time.
Prayerful.
Yes.
Always brush your teeth.
Yeah.
Important. Floss.